Greetings, everyone. I'm Tom Schurch, President of the Schürch Family Association of North America. On behalf of our Executive Committee, it is my distinct pleasure to welcome you to our third symposium, Schürch 102. The Symposium Series are the stories of your Schürch heritage. They are designed to increase the opportunities to learn about our fascinating and frequently heroic Schürch family. Today's event covers what happened, to the best of our knowledge, to the first Schürch family members to arrive in North America. The Symposium Series is just part of the association's drive to expand and teach the knowledge of our ancestors. For example, we are tracing the living locations of your Schürch ancestors in Europe in the 18th century. Additionally, we are researching Schürch genealogy through DNA techniques. We also hold a biennial reunion, and the next one is scheduled for August 5 through 7, 2022 in Fort Erie, Ontario, Canada. Details of the reunion will be forthcoming in the April 2022 edition of the association's newsletter, which we publish twice a year in both paper and digital format. Subscription information is available at the association's website, which is located at www.schurchfamilyassociation.net. Our host for today's event is Historical Committee Chairperson, Stephen Schürch. Before I turn the microphone over to Stephen, I'd like to remind everyone that this event is being recorded, and we will be archiving it on YouTube with links from our association's website and Facebook page. All participants at tonight's event will have their lines muted. During the presentation and during the Q&A session which follows, you are encouraged to use the chat feature, which is accessible on your computer's cursor by placing your cursor over the chat icon that is typically at the bottom of the screen and clicking your cursor. The chat window will pop up and you can type in your question or comment and then press enter. At the conclusion of tonight's presentation, Stephen will read questions received and provide answers as time allows. We've scheduled today's event for 1 hour. I'd like to thank the Symposium Committee for all the time and effort that they have spent in bringing tonight's event to you. The committee requests that any input on tonight's events, including corrections or additions, be sent to schurchsymposium@gmail.com. Finally, I'd like to remind our audience and our family that symposium presentations are by Schürchs for Schürchs. If you have a topic of interest or would like to explore joining the committee, please contact us at schurchsymposium@gmail.com, and one of our committee members will respond to you. And now I'm delighted to turn the microphone over to Stephen Schürch, Chairperson of the Schürch Family Association Historical Committee for Schürch 102.
Thank you, Tom, and welcome everyone to Schürch 102. I'm Stephen Schürch, Chairman of the Schürch Family Association of North America's Historical Committee. Schürch 102 follows our association's launch of Schürch 101 on December 4 of this past year. For those of you who are unable to attend that presentation or catch a replay of it through links on our association website or Facebook page, we'll begin this evening with a brief overview of the first Schürchs to arrive in North America, why they came here, and the family code system that has been developed. Then we'll turn to where those first Schürchs did go and give a brief review of the original homesteads established, and from these homesteads, the larger migration routes and destinations for Schürchs throughout North America. Finally, we'll conclude the presentation with your questions using the Zoom chat feature. We'll plan to finish up at the top of the hour, but we'll stay longer if necessary. Any remaining unanswered questions at that end of the session will be addressed via email. I would like to note that joining me on today's presentation for the question and answer session is Jesslyn Hauser, our database and last year's research chairman. So to briefly recap our first session, according to some Swiss researchers, the first use of the name Schürch, spelled S-C-H-U-R-C-H, dates to 1379, or approximately 643 years ago, to a small village called Willisau in the canton Lucerne of what is today's Switzerland. The family name was well established in Canton Bern by the 1500s, and today's families in the U.S. and Canada, with the most common names S-H-E-R-K, S-H-I-R-K, and S-H-E-R-R-I-C-K, who are descendants of these Cantonese ancestors. One town in Canton Bern, Summerswald, is considered to be the home of the first Schürchs who came to North America. With a few exceptions, the vast majority of Schürch family immigrants to the continent were of the Anabaptist Mennonite faith. In Switzerland, these people were widely persecuted out of the conflict between their religious beliefs and those of the church and state at that time. Anabaptist Mennonites were routinely burned at the stake, tortured, jailed, drowned, or subjected to some of the most inhumane treatments imaginable for refusing to relinquish their faith and follow the teachings of the Catholic, Reformed, and Calvinist religions. As a result of this persecution, many escaped or were forced out of Switzerland. Beginning in 1671, Mennonites in Holland assisted in the Great Migration out of Switzerland to the German Palatinate, to Amsterdam, Rotterdam, Harlingen, which is in the province of Friesland, and other Dutch ports were popular destinations for this migration and became the home for the Swiss immigrants for decades. Escape from persecution and the promise to be able to live in simple life with others of a like faith in a new land was their motive for going to America. Our family association records show that the first Schürch to arrive in North America was Joe Schürch in July of 1635. Unlike the other early family arrivals, Joe arrived on the ship Primrose into Virginia. The other arrived in Philadelphia and are as follows. Subsequent generations descending from these first arrivals were assigned a code number according to the order of their birth in the sequence running from 1 to 0. And then, if there were more than 10 children, returning to the sequence letter. For example, applying the coding system to my ancestors, the first child of code H, Caspar Schürch, who arrived in 1732 and was assigned code H1, Wendell Schürch. The second child, Caspar Schürch, code H2. The third child, Peter Schürch, H3. And the fourth child, my sixth great-grandfather, Joseph Schürch, H4. The next generation's first child from Joseph Schürch would be H41. And thus the coding system unfolds to the point where my name, Stephen D. Schürch, has the code H44112562 and have the following ancestral line. Now let's discuss what we know happened to these first single letter arrivals on our shores, including where they and their first generation children migrated to. As many of our ancestors had very large families, traditionally the father would help his sons purchase lands for them to farm and raise their own families. The daughters with their husbands would be living in their own homes as well. It was common practice that the youngest son would take over running his parents' farm with his own family. Often separate rooms would be added to the existing home, or a small house, referred as a gross dotty house, or a dotty house added to the property to accommodate the aging parents. As farming land became unavailable in the local areas near their parents' homesteads, the younger families moved to other areas with hopes of clearing the land, as did their forefathers. With each new generation, many other descendants moved further and further away from the original North American family homesteads. With that background, I'll turn to what we know of the first Schürch family's arrival in North America, and where they settled and their immediate descendants. For three of the arrivals, we have no information beyond the date of their arrival and their ship. These include Joe Schurch, Code A, who arrived the 27th of July, 1635 in Virginia on the ship Primrose. Philip Jacob Schurch, Code U, who arrived in Philadelphia on 26 September 1754 on the ship Mary and Sarah, and may have been related to Code T, Hans Martin Schurch, and Code X, Andrew Schurch, who arrived in Philadelphia on 23 September 1792 on the ship Fame. Code B, David Schurch, was in Germantown, Pennsylvania by 8 November 1684, possibly from Mulheim, Germany. David had two sons, Code B1 Anthony and Code B2 Johannes. Unfortunately, we have no information recorded regarding their settlement in North America. Code C, Joseph Schurch, settled in West Hempfield area, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, after arriving on the ship James Goodwill on 20 September 1727 in Philadelphia. Fortunately, we have plentiful records of Joseph's immediate family with his first wife, Catherine Forey. He later remarried Elizabeth Young. His son, Code C1, Joseph Schurch, and his wife, Susanna Strickler, were buried in West Hempfield Township, Lancaster County, where his children remain. Code C2, Jacob Schurch and Mary Litchley raised their family in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Code C, Maria Schurch and her husband Christian Wenger Erb were married in 1756 in Warwick Township, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, where they raised their family. About 1806, they moved to Waterloo County, Ontario, Canada, after other family members preceded them to secure large tracts of land to allow for their group settlements. Their funding had helped to create the German Land Company for the purchase of the German Company tract in 1805. Code C5, John Schurch married Barbara Schneider and moved across to Susquehanna River to Paradise Township, York County by 1763. After John and Barbara died, several of their children, C51 Eva Barber Schurch and Frederick Leathers, C53 Mary Schurch and Jacob Leathers, C55 Joseph Schurch and Mary Leathers, C56 John Schurch, C57 Jacob Schurch and his wife Mary, and C58 David Schurch with his wife Elizabeth Shank all moved to Center County, Pennsylvania in the late 1780s and early 1790s. Eva Barbara and Frederick Leather III and their families moved on to Fairfield County, Ohio by 1800, when it was still the Northwest Territory of the USA. C52 Elizabeth Schurch and Daniel Kaufman moved with their family to Virginia and later to McNairy County, Tennessee, where they have many descendants. Moving on to Code D, Tobias Schurch, he immigrated on the 30th September 1727 on the ship Molly to Philadelphia. He also was listed as Tobias Horsch on the ship's records. No other information is available for this ancestor. Code E. Ulrich Schurch and his wife Barbara Grunbacher arrived in Philadelphia on 23 August 1728 on the ship Morton House. It is said that he initially settled in Hickorytown, which is now known as the city of Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Later, he settled in Schoneck, Cocalico Township, Lancaster County. We have a lot of records regarding Ulrich's descendants, but limited information showing no locations of migration for all of their 10 children. Code E1, Minister Peter Schürch and his wife Maria Swar lived in Earl, Lancaster County. E14, Michael Schürch and his wife Barbara and his family of 11 children from his first and second wife migrated to Upper Canada in 1789, which became Lincoln County in 1792 and later Welland County in 1845. Code E4, Ulrich II, with wife Anna Swar, moved to Cocalico Township, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And Code E5, Johannes Schürch and his wife Barbara Yoder moved to Cocalico Township, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. And Code E7, Michael Schürch remained in Weaverland, Lancaster County.
They're great! Like a catfish out of water.
We do have information regarding Code E6, Peter Schürch and Maria Swar, who lived in Earl Township, Lancaster County, near Weaverland. The movement of children are as follows. Code E61, Peter Schürch and his wife Barbara Zimmerman and family moved to Carnarvon Township, Lancaster County. Code E6158, Peter Hoffman Schürch arrived in Berlin, Waterloo County, Ontario in 1862, where he married his wife Magdalena Martin and raised their 15 children. Peter remarried Judith Weber and raised 2 more children. Code E62, Elizabeth Schürch and John Sullenberger. We have no further information. Code E63, Johannes Schürch, his first wife Anna Weber and second wife Maria Sensenig and their children remained in Earl Township, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Code E614 and later recoded E4, Michael Schürch and his family of 11 children from his first and second wife migrated to Upper Canada in 1789, which became Lincoln County in 1792 and later Welland County in 1845. There are a number of notable Schürchs in the E14 bloodline.
Second platoon, listen up. Come on. God bless you. Scared. You're all scared. I've seen death. I've seen my friends, my men being killed. Without mercy, without compassion, without remorse. All war depends upon it. I withstood it well, but I had a lot of trouble in later life. Those events would come back, and you never forget them.
From this day to the ending of the world, we in it shall be remembered. We lucky few, we band of brothers.
E65 Casper Schurch and Veronica Groff also moved with their 7 children to Humberstone Township, Welland County in 1793. E66 Joseph Schurch with his wife Mariah Zimmerman and their 8 children remained in Earl Township, Lancaster County. E67 Mary Schurch and Peter Weaver Zimmerman were in Adams County, Pennsylvania. Code E68 Barbara Schurch and Michael Wenger Sensenig with their 4 children remained in Earl Township, Lancaster County. Code E69 Sam Schurch and Susanna Long and their 7 children lived in Manheim Township, Lancaster County. And lastly, we have no further information regarding Code E60 Anna Schurch and her husband John Rice. Code E61568 Peter Hoffman Schurch arrived in Berlin, Kitchener-Waterloo County, Ontario in 1862, where he married his wife Magdalena Martin and raised their 15 children. Peter remarried Judy Weber and raised 2 more children. We have no further information regarding Code F. Udry Schurch, who may have been the son of Code E. Ulrich Schurch, as he had also arrived on the same ship Morton House in 1728. Code G. Johannes Schurch also arrived on the ship Morton House in 1728. His wife Barbara Yoder and their family are listed under also Code E5 from the connections we later made as shown on Tom Schürch's book, The Schürch Family. We have no other information on his ancestors at this time. Code H. Casper Schurch was in the Chestnut Hill area of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania, before moving to what is now Schurchsville area of Lebanon County in 1738. He lost his wife and child at sea during their sail on the ill-fated ship Love and Unity. He remarried Magdalena Folk. Their ship's movement are as follows. Code H1, Wendell Schurch and family moved to Franklin County, Pennsylvania in 1771. His granddaughter, H143, Magdalena Brake, daughter of H14, Catherine Schurch and John Breck, and her husband and children, code H421, Samuel Schurch, moved to Kent County, Michigan with their children. Code H2, Casper Schurch Jr. moved to Bethel Township, Lancaster County with his wife Barbara Hunsaker and their 8 children. All of their children remained in Lebanon County, with the exception of Code H2, Casper Schurch and his wife Susanna Light, who moved to Thompson Township, Seneca County, Ohio. Code H3, Peter Schurch and his wife Elizabeth Reeser and family remained in the Chestnut Hill area of Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Casper and Magdalena's other son, Joseph Schurch, H4, lived near Annville, Pennsylvania, near his father-in-law, Frederick Kaufman, and then moved with his family to Greene Township, Franklin County in 1775. Joseph's daughter, H43, married Jacob Hauser and moved with him to Centre County, Pennsylvania, and established Hauserville in 1788. H44 Casper moved to Markham Township, York County, Ontario, with his family in 1804. H46 Joseph moved to Rockingham County, Virginia, briefly around 1795, and then back to Franklin County, Pennsylvania, and from there to Waterloo County, Ontario in 1800. H5 Catherine Schurch and Jacob Miley remained in Bethel Township at the time, Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. H6 Magdalena Schurch and Abraham Coffin moved to Lebanon Township, Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. Two of their children later moved to Annville Township, Lebanon County, and Letterkenny Township, Franklin County. Casper's son, John H7 and Katrina Schnarbley, moved to what is now Chapman Township, Snyder County, formerly Northumberland County, Pennsylvania. Code H8, Abram Schurch and Margaret Lentz, later his second wife Esther Good, moved from Bethel Township, now Lebanon County, to East Hanover Township about 1788. His son Abraham H81 moved to Union County, Pennsylvania in 1829. HA2 Barbara Schurch Walborn moved to Dayton, Ohio in 1825 and later Champaign County, Ohio. H80 Peter Schurch moved to Wayne County, Ohio. Code H9 Mary Schurch and David Peppley with their 11 children remain in Bethel Township, Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. Code H0 Andrew Schurch served in the Continental Army during the American Revolution, married Martha Hamilton in Rockbridge County, Virginia, then went to Augusta, Georgia, but moved to Kentucky by 1806, thence to Cincinnati, Ohio, and from there to Springfield Township, Franklin County, Indiana, where several of their children raised their families. We have no records as to why Andrew was such a nomad. Of their 8 children, 1 moved to Franklin County, 2 to Montezuma Park County, Indiana, and another Massac County, Illinois, and another to Newark, Knox County, Missouri.
All right, on Friday, December 4, the President will attend the swearing-in of Mr. Don Wilson of Abilene, Kansas, as the 7th Archivist of the United States. The ceremony will be in the main rotunda of the National Archives building. Approximately 125 guests will be attending, and the President will have brief remarks. The motorcade departs the White House at 11 o'clock. It's important because the National Archivist is in charge of all the nation's documents and founding historical materials. And it might even be an opportunity to talk about the rich history of the United States as we prepare for this Soviet summit. Motorcade departs the White House at 11 o'clock. The President makes remarks at 11:25 and returns at 11:50. On Sunday evening, tomorrow is Friday, I'll be right here. On Sunday evening, December 6th, the President and Mrs. Reagan will attend the 10th Annual Kennedy Center Honors Gala. This year's nominees are Sammy Davis Jr., Perry Como, Betty Davis, Nathan Milstein, and Alwyn Nikolai.
Code I Hans Jacob Schurch also arrived in Philadelphia on the 30th September 1732 aboard the ship Dragon. He died without a will in Earl Township, Lancaster County. After his death in 1742, his wife Elizabeth Durr remarried Andrew Frederick, where with their 3 children, Code I-1, Mary Elizabeth Schurch, I-2, Christina Schurch, and I-3, Mary Margaret Schurch, remained in Earl Township. Code J. David Schurch and his wife Anna Margaretha Huber arrived in Philadelphia aboard the ship Restoration on 9 October 1747. He settled initially in Brecknock Township, Lancaster County. He later relocated to Earl Township by 1759. He died in Ephrata. His children, J1 Anna Margaretha, J2 Anna Margaret, J4 Johann Heinrich, J5 Maria Magdalena, J6 Johann Jacob, J8 Maria Catherine, and J8 Johann Philip Schurch remained in Lancaster County, while J3 George David Schurch moved to Lebanon County, and J7 Johann Matthias Schurch moved to Penn Township, Snyder County, Pennsylvania. Code K Jacob Schurch also arrived on 9 October 1747 in Philadelphia on the ship Restoration. He may have been related to Code J. David Schurch. Currently, we have no records of Jacob's settlement in North America or the names of his ancestors or descendants. Code L. George Schurch arrived in Philadelphia 5 September 1751 aboard the ship Shirley. He settled in Heidelberg Township, Lebanon County, Pennsylvania. Later tax assessments show him living in Obey Township and Hereford Townships in Burke County. His family may have lived in Heidelberg Township, Lebanon County, however this has not been confirmed. Code M. Johann Jacob Schurch arrived in Philadelphia on the 6th of September 1751 on the ship Nancy. He may have been related to Code L. George Schurch in Heidelberg Township. We have not been able to confirm this. No other information has been found for this immigrant. His son Jacob was married in Stutzburg, Berks County, and later moved to Lancaster County and again to Middle Township, Franklin County, Pennsylvania. We have no other information regarding any descendants. Code N. Ulrich Schurch was on board the ship St. Andrew, arriving in Philadelphia on 23 September 1752. Records show that he and his wife Maria Grunbach and children had settled in Hempfield Township, Lancaster County. Some of his descendants settled in Cumberland County. One son had moved to Rush Creek, Fairfield County, Ohio. Code N. Johannes Schurch and Barbara Berg, pronounced Burke, raised their 10 children in Manor Township, Lancaster County. But after land became too expensive in Pennsylvania, after the Revolutionary War in the States, they moved to Willoughby Township, Welland County, Ontario, in 1795. Their 11th child, Andrew Schurch, was born in Willoughby Township. Records show that N4 Jacob Schurch was unmarried and had lived in Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. Code O, Jacob's Matthias Schurch and his wife Katrina came from Nassau, Germany on board the ship Phoenix, arriving in Philadelphia the 22nd of November 1752, later moving to Hempfield Township, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Some of their descendants moved to Mountville and Lancaster County. One son moved to Rush Creek, Fairfield County, Ohio. Code P, Valentin Schurch arrived on the ship Phoenix 22 November 1752 from Nassau, Germany to Philadelphia. His family lived in Kempfield Township, Lancaster County. No further information is in our records regarding his family. Our records show that he was a widower with 5 children. Code Q, Jacob Schurch also arrived in Philadelphia on the ship Phoenix on 22 November 1752 from Nassau, Germany. After marrying Anna Maria Beck in 1760, they settled in Kempfield Township and later moved his family to Markham Township, Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. Code R, Hans Martin Schurch arrived from Sonderreith, Wertheim, Germany to Philadelphia on 22 November 1752 aboard the ship Phoenix. It was suggested that his family may have lived in Raffo Township, Lancaster County, and later in Warwick Township, Lancaster. We have no information regarding any descendants of his one daughter, whose name is unknown, married to Moses Baumberger, or a location of any other descendants. Code S records show that Johann Ludwig Schurch was born in the Palatine of Württemberg, Germany, around 1730 and died in 1779 in Reading, Rushcombe Manor Township, Berks County, Pennsylvania. He immigrated, arriving at the port of Philadelphia on 28 September 1753 on the ship Two Brothers. Some of his grandchildren from his child, Code S1 Katrina Schurch, married to Joseph Zweyer, moved to Delaware Township, Northumberland County, and Bastrop Township, Lycombe County, Pennsylvania. Code T, Hans Martin Schurch arrived at Philadelphia on the ship Halifax on 22 October 1754. It was suggested that this may have been his second Atlantic crossing to bring back his family, as previously shown as Code R, Hans Martin Schurch. We have no other information regarding any of his descendants. Code U, Philip Jacob Schurch arrived in Philadelphia on the ship Mary and Sarah on 26 October 1754. Records suggested that he was related to Code T, Hans Martin Schurch, arriving only 4 days later than Hans. We have no records of where he may have settled or the names of his family at this time. Code V, on November 1771, Sebastian Schurch arrived in Philadelphia aboard the ship Tiger from the community of Oldenburg, Canton, Basel, Switzerland. He was also known as Bastian Schurch. Sebastian settled in Meacock Township, Lancaster County, and Dauphin County, Pennsylvania. His son Adam Schurch resided in Quamonag Township, Somerset County, Pennsylvania. His other son, John Schurch, moved to Virginia, now known as West Virginia. Code W, in the May of 1774, Thomas Shark arrived in Philadelphia on the ship Sally. He settled in Shrewsbury Township, York County. Unfortunately, we have no further information regarding this family. Finally, Code Y, Mr. and Mrs. Schurch immigrated to Philadelphia on 4 August 1805 on the ship Liberty. They arrived from Somerswald, Canton, Bern, Switzerland. It may have been related to Code E, Ulrich Schurch, and Code N, Ulrich Schurch. No further information is available on this couple. Over the centuries, since Schurch arrived in Virginia in 1635, Schürchs have been notable contributors to the history and culture in both the United States and Canada. For our presentation today, we have included some 40 family members and hope to highlight others in future presentations as we learn more about our family. We hope that you have found today's Schürch 102 informative and already see some questions in our chat window. So we'll now turn to our questions and answers session. What was Donna Reed's lineage? I think that we had it on there, did we not? What code she was at the time that we posted that?
Donna Reed, you said?
Donna Reed, yeah, the actress there.
Yeah, she's an N. I don't remember the exact number, but she's an M.
Yeah. Okay, well, I hope that answers that question. Another question here I had is, I'm interested in helping create a symposium. How do I go about doing that? Well, I'll tell you, we are looking for people to be on the symposium committee. If you have ideas, what you'd like to see for a symposium, by all means, contact any of the people that are on the committee. You can use the symposium Gmail address as well to contact us, and we look for any kind of ideas. We'd like to be able to show everybody in our family, all aspects of our family, where we moved to and what we did. The notables, of course, are out there. We may not have known all of them. It says here, what number is being assigned Peter Schürch, born 1709, one of Ulrich's children? One was being used, but confused with the first son, Peter, who died. Did you say 6? Well, I think that's what it was there's 2 sons involved there. The first one was short-lived, and then when they had another son, they called him Peter as well. So so Peter 6, I believe, was the one that we had there. Again, I'd have to go back through my notes to remember those kind of things, but possibly, if you know the answer, Justin, I don't, off the top of your head.
Well, I think you're right, Stephen. I think that's E1 was assigned before we realized that Peter had died, and the Peter that came here was the second one.
That's right.
The second one of the name, who's, I guess, E6 now. But most of the descendants still go by E1 because it's so well known at this point.
Yeah. Somebody put on here, Dune Tower was built in 1925, according to Google. Thank you very much there. And by all means, if other people here see an answer to a question that we may not have right away, please send a quick chat response. I appreciate who that came from there. Another question that's come up is, it says, while a wealth of information was covered in the presentation, there was more than could keep up with. Is there any way to find this information online so we could study or document it? Well, certainly YouTube, we are taping these symposiums, so you'll be able to get them up on there and to get the information off of there. We also have our database. Justin is in charge of the online database that's at Roots Web, and you'll be able to get stuff from there as well. And of course, you can contact myself as chairman of the historical committee or any of our people and the historians. And we do have a lot of documentation we can share with you. So hopefully that answers that question for you. Another question.
There was a question raised, hold on just a second. There was a question raised about the different spellings of the family name.
That's right.
How that all came about. Do you want to expound on that, Stephen? And I can add anything if you want.
Well, certainly. What was that? It says the spelling Schürch, I got it written down here because we knew that was going to come up sooner or later. It says the spelling Schürch, like Schürch and Schürch, developed phonetically among different groups of descendants at different times as efforts were made to make names easier to pronounce and spell for English-speaking neighbors. Many Ontario Schürchs began to use Schürch, but there are many who use Schürch, ERK and IRK. For example, I'm IRK. My grandfather, his brothers and sisters were ERKs, but he couldn't spell, so it got spelled IRK. Predominantly in Canada is ERK and down the states IRK, from what I understand. A lot of Canadians did adopt the spelling Schürch, but certainly not all. For example, many Schürchs that we have found seem to be from code C, but there are some who aren't. So there are no hard and fast rules about spelling. The spellings evolved gradually in North America during the periods of 1750 to 1850, and differently among different branches with some overlap and inconsistencies. I hope that answered that question. Oh, nice comment here. Great presentation. Would you know how to locate the books, resources about our specific code listed on Family Association website? Well, they are there. The Margaret Schurch on our committee is in charge of cataloging all the books and that. And she can be reached to tell you who the authors are and if there's an outlet for them. A lot of them you have to go looking for. Some of them are limited editions now, such as Tom Schürch's book, The Schürch Family, and some others. But you can always go on eBay and so on. Oh, somebody put in here, Schürch is better. It's in the dictionary. Schirk, right?
Not necessarily with a great connotation, but nevertheless.
Right. Not with a great connotation, that's for sure. And so thanks for the humor. That's what we need.
Yeah, here's one that came in about how to access the database. So if you, and we need to get this updated on our website. It was originally hosted on RootsWeb, but RootsWeb is no longer really a functioning thing. And so it is now on ancestry.com, and there is a link to that tree on our database or on our family website. And there is also, it's also on a website called Geneanet, GENEANET, which is a European website. We need to get that link up there. But to see those links, go to our website, schurchfamilyassociation.net. Let me just post that here in the chat. Hold on here. There it is. And if you go to in the bar at the top there where it says more.
Oh, did we freeze up there, Justin? While we're waiting for Justin to come back on there, somebody did put up here, Donna Reed's code was N1A41421. So thank you very much for that response from the chats. Hopefully Justin gets back online here shortly. Oh, there he is. He's back. He just muted.
I don't know what happened there, but hopefully you all got that link.
Another question that did come up was, says a lot of the information online is not accurate or reliable. What sources do you use to confirm your findings are accurate? Well, what we do is we depend on the source documents to help verify our data in detailed notes. In my case, when I receive queries for limited information, I start to keep a full record of all the emails that come and start compiling them to create a history of that. And certainly I asked for, in the communications, I asked for, extracts from different documents that are available, such as from Bibles and from photos and birth certificates, death certificates, land grants, military records, wills, etc. Those are all source documents for us, and it's important that we have those. Where we can put them in the database to show that information as a source, we do that because we want others to show that we are trying to provide as accurate information as possible. All right. Any other questions there?
Carrie Adams chimed in here helpfully with Donna Reed's code, which is her exact code, which is N1A41421.
Yes, yeah. I managed to pass it on while you were blanked out there for a second.
Okay.
That was good. It says, what's this here next one? Thanks for doing this. So informative. I will never retain it all, but thoroughly enjoy hearing about our interest in the family. Spelling changes also occur when census takers wrote down what they heard and not how it was really spelled. And that goes to the immigration. I mentioned in Symposium 101 that immigration officials and other officials, when the immigrants were illiterate, didn't know how to spell their names, they wrote it down the way they thought it sounded as well. Are there any plans to take a Schürch trip back to homeland in Switzerland? That's from Todd Schurch, Todd Bielfeld. And we've been banging this around, Justin? We were looking at possibly the next tour would be starting off in the Netherlands, so that we can see the areas where they departed from, coming to North America, and then making our way up through to Switzerland. So I don't know how far down the road that's going to be. We need somebody to organize that. So that's something we're working at. If anybody wants to be on that committee to help organize a tour, a heritage tour, by all means do so. Contact any one of us on the committee.
Yeah, we usually were having them, we had them about every 6 years. So the last one was in 2019. And if circumstances permit, perhaps 2025 might be a good time to target for a trip, but obviously that will need involvement of a lot of people to make it happen. So we encourage you, if you're interested in helping, let us know, and we can work with you to divide the tasks needed to make it happen.
Yeah. And also another comment came in saying converting from languages with different alphabets would continue with different spellings as well. Says, what's the best way to submit corrections or updates to the Schürch family tree on Ancestry? What documents to submit for coding? Well, we talked about the type of documents that we need to verify information anyways, and any information that comes into the historical team. What we do is we then send it off to the database team under Justin here, and they update the database with that. Once we can collect up the information and put it together with what it needs to be put together with. So yeah, send it to us. I share when I get a question and I know it's a code H, I share it with all the code H historians and that, so that they all are on the same page about the code. But I also share it with all the other codes too, because other code historians compile lists about that other codes as well. So it's good that you asked that question. Feel free to send us anything you want. Somebody says, sign me up. Very interested and would help organize. We're talking about the heritage tour here. If that's it, we're going to put your name on the list there, Todd.
Thank you.
Yeah. Committee contact, of course, is schurchsymposium@gmail.com for anybody that's interested. We're coming up to the top of the hour now. Are there any other questions? I don't mind staying on a little bit longer if you need be, but
there's one question that came in here to me that says that asks, is ancestry.com the site, DNA site, I'm sorry, I missed that part, that most Schürchs are using? I mean, I don't have any statistics on that, but it seems to be very popular. The main DNA sites at this point, which, I mean, that's a whole other topic and a talk in itself, I'm sure. Maybe a future symposium on that might be an idea. But ancestry.com, Family Tree DNA, MyHeritage, and 23andMe seem to be the biggest ones that I'm aware of right now. And I don't know how many are on each, but I know that a lot are on Ancestry DNA. So if you test on there, you probably find a lot of matches. But again, that's something that we could maybe work into another symposium at some point in the future.
That's right. Okay, if there's no more questions, I just want to say I'm afraid that's all we have for today's symposium. Thank you, everybody, for participating with the questions. If there are remaining outstanding questions, please send them to the schurchsymposium@gmail.com so that we can try to respond to them. And as I mentioned, our next symposium was planned for this May, but it may not be until August when we have our next symposium in the fall. Things do change in that, so we'll let you know through the newsletters and so on. And lastly, I'd like to thank Justin. Thank you very much for doing this part of this with me and earlier with the setups and that, and certainly to Ray and Joan who are running the video today, the presentation on Zoom. and putting together the stats for us that we need from this. Also to Carrie Adams and Jane Schurch and Doug Schurch. There's quite the team put together to make this production. Carrie, give a lot of credit for all the graphics and videos he put in there of interest. I hope it kept everybody awake and not listening to my humdrum voice. So I just want to wish everybody the best, and we will see you in the future. Thank you very much for your attending.
Thank you, Stephen, for all your hard work as well. All right,
Thanks
take
again,
care,
Jeff.
everybody.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.